The Howling Symphony. The stage trembled beneath Raven's feet as she unleashed the final riff into the darkness. The crowd roared, chanting her name. Music was her life, her escape. But tonight, something inside her stirred something restless, something primal. After the gig, she found herself in a dimly lit nightclub. The bass thundered through her veins as neon lights flickered across the sweat-drenched crowd. She moved with the music, lost in the rhythm, when she felt his gaze. A man tall, with jet-black hair and piercing eyes that seemed to see right through her.
He exuded danger, mystery, exactly what she craved.
They danced, bodies close, almost like predators sizing each other up. His hands traced along her arms, sending a shiver down her spine. The air between them was electric, charged with something unspoken. Then he leaned in. "Come with me," he whispered. She didn't hesitate. He led her outside, away from the flashing lights and pounding music, into a deserted alley bathed in the flickering glow of a single street lamp. The cold night air wrapped around her like a warning, but she ignored it. Suddenly, she was against the wall. His grip was firm but not painful. His eyes locked onto hers, filled with something dark, something ancient. Then, before she could react, pain. A sharp, burning sensation at her neck. His teeth sank deep into her flesh. A scream formed in her throat, but it never escaped. Instead, heat flooded her veins. Her heartbeat pounded like a war drum. The world around her sharpened, the shadows grew darker. The night air filled with unfamiliar scents. She could hear distant footsteps, the rustling of rats in the gutters, the rhythmic pulse of the city. He pulled back, blood staining his lips, and smiled. "Welcome to the pack." Her breath hitched. No, this wasn't real. It couldn't be. A deep primal fear gripped her. She shoved him away, her body trembling as foreign energy surged through her limbs. The wound on her neck still burned, but not from pain. Something inside her was changing. She ran. Out of the alley, through the empty streets, her pulse hammering in her ears. Her body felt different, stronger, faster. Every sound, every scent was sharper, more intense. Panic clawed at her chest. Reaching her apartment, she locked the door behind her, panting. She rushed to the mirror, pulling down the collar of her shirt. The bite mark was there, red and raw, pulsing like it had a heartbeat of its own. She stared at her reflection, eyes wide. Then, just for a second, her pupils flashed an unnatural glowing yellow. Her hands trembled. She knew what this meant. She had heard the stories, the myths, but she had never believed them. She sank to the floor, clutching her neck, breathing heavily. The man's words echoed in her head. "Welcome to the pack." She could feel it. The change was coming. And no matter how much she ran, she would never escape it. The moon was rising. And soon she would no longer be Raven. She would be the Wolf,